I met a lot of nice people. I had some trouble with dogs. In Tibet, of course, they have to keep away bears and wolves, and don't know the difference between an Austrian cyclist or a wolf.
What are the most significant moments of your life?
So I'm born in Vienna in 1942. I have a twin brother in Vienna still, and it was during the war. I was too small to understand what was happening. Then I studied at the Academy of Art in Vienna, and when I finished, they showed me a drawing made by a guy called Adolf Hitler, because for the examination to be accepted at the Academy, he had to do some drawings, and he didn't pass, but they kept the drawings. So they said, well, it's better he will become some artist instead of a dictator. I studied their drawings and paintings, and at the end I finished with creating jewels. So I became a goldsmith. Then I made a trip through India until Singapore, all over land. I spent about $1,200. That's nothing for 6 months. And when I came back, I had to earn some money. So I started as a goldsmith. And after a while, I don't like very much Vienna. I decided to spend 1 year abroad. And it was Lugano. I ended up in Lugano. And now I'm here 58 years. The other decision I made was to work independently, not under a boss, because then you can choose your time, when you work, how you work, how much you ask for your work. And this gives you a certain freedom. And the traveling was still very important for me. So I had the chance to decide. I just wrote a sign on my door, will come back in October, so what? And then this is fantastic. I mean, who can do this? Once I decided to go by bicycle to Hong Kong in 1994, 95. And my girlfriend at the time, she said, you're a little bit crazy. But then she joined me, and we did it in 7.5 months from here to Hong Kong, in countries like Laos or Burma, Myanmar. It's very nice to go by bicycle. People are beautiful. Maybe not the government in Myanmar, but the people are very nice. Also in Iran, I made good experience. If you go and the car will overtake you slowly and the arm comes out of the car window with a bag of nuts or dry fruit or some grapes. This way of traveling, when you don't know where you will end up in the evening, where you find something to eat and so on, this is real life because you live in the moment. What we normally do is to repeat ourselves in some stupid, boring office. And when you are obliged to invent every moment something to carry on, you feel much more alive. And even if there were some moments, I mean, if you're tired or hungry or it's raining or whatever, you say, what I'm doing here. But at the end, you understand that especially these moments where you were suffering are the very precious moments for later, because this brings you to the limit, takes away certain fears. Because when I see many people, they have fears if something happens that may disturb their life. So they try to make it as sure as possible. But I say, no, this is why it's a sort of living that is boring. And now to win our life that is not worth much to live, we stay in front of television, or we are in the internet, or we are not really living. It's just that our brain is working for something, but this is not life.
What are your greatest achievements and your deepest regrets?
I don't know. I think I'm very happy because things happen. We think that we are the director of our life, that we decide where we want to go. We can decide a little bit, but most of the things happen. There is the biggest private TV station in Switzerland. And once I offered some documentaries that I did, nothing happened. The director, he had these on his desk, but he didn't even look at them. And then a girl that I know, her boyfriend at that time, he was also working for this TV station. And he said, look at it to his director. It's worth. So finally he looked at it, and now I produced 300 documentaries about Bangladesh and Ethiopia and Nepal and Tibet and whatnot. So just to say, if I wouldn't have known this guy that said to the director, look at it, it's worth it, maybe nothing would have happened. Some people, they are married maybe 50 years with a woman, and when they say, if I wouldn't have gone to the movies that evening in that cinema, I wouldn't have known her. We think that we choose. Up to a certain point, things happen.
What does happiness mean to you?
You can act, or you have to accept things. If you stay between acting and accepting, you are just in a frustration, because the world is never like you want. The world is like it is. Your wife or your husband is like he is. He cannot be another. He is the result of his small personal stories, of his genetic program he has. So you accept him or you change. But not that you pass 20 years just shouting and you're never be happy. And this is so simple. This is for the work, because normally what we do, if we are frustrated for something, we look for somebody who has to be guilty, because this is easy to say, I'm unhappy because my boss is just crazy or whatever. Accept or to act.
If you could describe your life in one word, what would it be?
One word: to win ignorance. Because ignorance is the reason of all the stuff that is not working in this world. I went often to Ladakh. And in Ladakh, there is still the Tibetan Buddhism. They have a ceremony that lasts 2 days where they kill the ignorance. So they make a puppet out of barley flour, and it takes 2 days that they kill it. The funny thing is, because they use, I think at the end they use a sword and they shoot it and with a dragger, and at the end everybody wants a piece of this barley, like also in our churches they eat the hostia. It's the body of Christ. And then I say, okay, now this ignorance is killed and everybody wants to eat it again. So maybe this is not the right trick to win it, but I think I see that in Africa where are more schools, problems are less. So we have to win ignorance in any way.
If you could share a piece of advice or a message with those younger than you, what would it be?
To choose the right profession is quite important, because if you stay for the rest of your life doing 8 hours a day, something that you maybe don't like, it's horrible. So at the beginning, you have to know what is your talent, but to discover your nature, where you feel good. If you're suffering, if you see outside the sun, you have to become a gardener that is outside and working in the sun. So everybody has to discover, first of all, what is his nature. And then when he feels good by doing something, to say, okay, I stay in that.
What is your favorite song?
There is no specific song. I had a chance to stay days and days in the main temple of the Sikh religion. And they use a music that they call Qawwali, that are also using the Sufis in Pakistan. And they begin very slow and slightly they get more rhythm. But you have to listen 100%. You cannot do something else in the kitchen and you have just to concentrate on this music.